Welcome to Minutes with Mango, Life in Motion. I'm your host, Johnny Mango. This is the place where we inquire about lifestyle, culture, and careers. Weekly, we meet with new guests that make a contribution of their insightful stories about their careers and how those careers impact their lifestyle and culture. Hello, everybody. This is Johnny Mango, and welcome to today's show. We have a really interesting guest today. She spent 25 years climbing the corporate ladder while hiding behind her true self. Isn't that interesting? She hid her persona and thought the world expected that of her. So she's now a TEDx speaker, a leadership coach, author who helps others to find their own version of success and create a life that truly reflects who they are. She's the author of So Much to Drool About, Lessons for Living Large. I like the living large part. Let me introduce you to Barbara Stone. Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Johnny. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely.
You talk about your hidden life. What was that all about? And tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do and all that.
Sure. Well, I live in central New York, just out of Syracuse, but I'm originally from Long Island and I moved up here. It's been quite some time, but one of the things is, I'm first full generation American, and my parents were of Polish descent. My father was Polish, and I have to say that my way growing up was not the traditional American way. It was, a lot of Polish traditions and not really fitting in to a lot of things going on in school. And so I think that theme, and I was the oldest, it just carried on. And I was always thinking that I needed to be somebody that I'm not. And long story short, but I got up to Syracuse and I stayed here. I finished my MBA and I decided that I had gotten involved in some operational classes and I love them. And so I had interviews with manufacturing companies, and that's where I started my career in manufacturing. But being that senior female leader in manufacturing, I always had to look good and get it right. You're working around these men, and here this tall blonde female comes in the room and she starts trying to, help you, but it's like all of a sudden it's like, who are you? So it was always a constant struggle. I had to work harder, work longer, just make sure my T's were crossed and my I's were dotted. And it was a big struggle because I'm always watching. I always had to do better. I always had to look good. But the problem is that because of that, I really realized that I was not being who I truly needed to be. And I hid a lot from who I really was. And I think about that all the time. I think about persona I was trying to put out when I just really wanted to be me. And somewhere along the line, before I left my job, I started studying. I wanted to be able to work on me, but I felt like I really needed to find me. Yes, I was this senior leader who went into organizations, went into departments, fixed them, got solutions, got them ticking, made things really move forward. But at what cost? What was the cost for me? It was the cost of not really having my voice and being authentic. And so 3 years before I left, I started studying resiliency, positive psychology. I got involved in John Maxwell training and coaching, and that's where I dabbled in coaching. When I finally decided that I was a coach as a leader, and I train that now. So I decided to explore the coaching world, and during 2018, took all my coaching classes and decided to exit at the end of 2018 and start on working on my certification. And the rest has been history because then it's like I can truly call myself a coach, speaker, trainer. And never in my lifetime would I have thought about saying I am now a TEDx speaker. And not only a TEDx speaker, but now I'm an author of so much to drool about lessons for living large because I wanted to be able to help individuals move forward. And these are all lessons. It just happens to be that they're through the eyes of my Great Danes.
Wow, wow. So, what what can you describe the distinction between how you presented yourself and how you felt inside in the workplace? In other words, what how can you describe that distinction?
I think I felt it was like a hard push. I felt like I needed to be a locomotive, really moving, driving, knowing what I needed to do. I couldn't make any mistakes. I had to really be polished. And because that was what was expected. And also, what was expected was for me, that's like, climb ladders, get more titles, get more money. And at what cost? And somewhere along the line, I just said, there's got to be something more to my life that can make more impact. And so
So,
that's when I started my journey.
yeah, so that sounds like what I would consider perfectionism, that push. Is that what that was? Is that trying to be perfect in every way? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, because I needed to be perfect in my job, I needed to be perfect in my relationships, I needed to be perfect. But, what happened was I suffered, and, stress it's a stressor, and it creates and it can, manifest in so many different ways, and it can manifest into different health issues, and along the line, I had different health issues that
Yeah.
I've had to deal with.
So, is it that perfectionism? Is it comparing yourself to others, or is it comparing yourself to what you think the job should be, or what is it? What is that?
Oh,
I'm trying to help people
yeah.
understand perfectionism.
Yeah, yes, it's like, it is part of it is comparing, to others and saying, "Well, look what they're doing. Why can't I be doing that? And what do I need to do?" And even today, in these days, these weeks, months, sometimes I get into that comparison mode. And I'm going, I need to get out of that mode and I need to stay committed in what I'm doing because that's what is going to differentiate me and allow me to be perfect in my
Mhm.
own light, not in somebody else's eyes. That, I have a lot to give and to do. And that's where I've really made the distinction to really look within and really do the best I can be, who I need to be, and be committed. And that's what's really driven me to what I'm doing is being committed to making impact in my life and in others' lives.
It sounds like a kind of a self-love approach.
Yeah, yes. Yes, it is. I think that, we do need to love ourselves and that we are loved and um and finding the people to surround you that love you and accept you for who you are. That's really what's important.
And I've heard you use the term "lead with love" before, so
Yeah.
can you share that with us? What do you mean by that?
I think what it really means is, so I have to end up saying, so I'm gonna, talk a little bit about my dogs. So I've got Great Danes.
Okay.
And when they walk in the room, they're there.
Yeah.
They want love, they want to be petted, they wanna be part of everything. And they lead with love. They lead with kindness. They lead with just such an openness about just being part of us. And so it's like we need, as we walk into a room, lead with love. They're not looking at, oh, what is somebody wearing? Or maybe I'm not perfect today. They're just being who they need to be in an authentic manner. That's what I think we need to do is lead with love for ourselves and love for others so that you're not creating a facade or perceptions of what's going on with other people or yourselves.
Yeah, it sounds like an openness to others. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you.
Yep.
It's an openness. I'm not gonna judge you when I meet you. I'm gonna be open to you and
Yeah.
allow you to be you, and that in itself is really a loving gesture, I would think. So that's leading with love,
Yeah.
being open to others. And, I've also heard you talk about the inverted pyramid leadership
Mm.
concept. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I use this a lot with organizations or individual executives that I work with. A lot of people feel that the leader is at the top and they need to know everything and that it trickles down. But the reality is, I have really found that in my leadership and working with individuals, and I have run areas that have had over 450 people. It's not me telling them what to do because one of the things I've done is I've gone into different departments or companies where I do not know anything about the industry or the products, but what I do know how to do is really bring people together. And if we can be as a leader on the inverted pyramid, supporting our people the next level up with the tools that they need to have to do their job. They're going to do the same thing to their level and then the same thing to the next level down or up. But what's going to happen is you're going to be creating a organization of leaders because you've given each layer tools to be able to do their jobs because they need to lead themselves first and they need to have the tools and they need to be able to know exactly what they're doing. They need to align with the values and the purpose in their jobs. But we, as leaders, need to give them the tools and we've got to find that which will help propel them and help them move forward in their careers.
How does it work? How do other managers and people that you're interacting with in an organization, how do they react to that inverted pyramid when you introduce that concept?
You know, it's a little bit different to them because it's a different mindset. It's kind of funny. I'm going to be doing a training tomorrow on the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. It's a different way of seeing leadership, but what it is knowing that you, the leader, may not always know all the answers, but if
Right.
you can engage your next level and the levels down to be able to see that they can contribute and have a stake in their job, you're going to create a whole totally different organization. I was just talking today to a client. She's had some turnover and in her organization, which has become a little bit of a disruption. So we started talking about what might the next level really need as far as training, professional development, customer service, and what it's really like to show up for a job. Because there's a lot of people that just they come into the job, it doesn't really work for them anymore, and they just leave. So it's
Right.
like, how do you get them to be committed? I truly believe that people want to be coached, not managed, not told what to do, but be part of the process. So it's a different concept, but if you give your subordinates the tools to do it, they will take a stake in it, and they will want to make a difference in the company.
Yeah.
But
I had a
I wanna
yeah, go
just
ahead.
bring one more point. You've gotta have the right person in place,
Uh-huh.
because if they don't have, way back when Jack Stack wrote The Great Game of Business,
I'm familiar with it.
you
Yeah.
gotta wanna do something. Yeah.
Yeah, I followed that book 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's been around for a
It's been
long
around.
time.
Yeah. What comes to mind, there was a time in my career when I used to conduct conventions,
Mhm.
and people associated with our company would come to these large conventions, and there's a lot of entertainment, a lot of seminars, all the different components of typical conventions. And after the convention, I would always have my entire staff meet. And the first time I did this, it really threw them. They didn't really know me that well. I'd only been with the company a few months and thrown in this convention thing. And so the next day, I brought everybody together and they said, "What do you want from us?" I says, "I want to know what worked and what didn't work.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
Just tell me what worked and we're just going to go around the room and you can throw anything out you want. I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to ask you to explain it. Just just throw me bullets of what worked and what didn't work." And they thought I was somewhat crazy, but once they went through the process, that I wasn't gonna judge what they were maybe criticizing or thought was great or whatever. It was amazing how, after all these conventions over many years, how they look forward to that critique at
Yeah.
the end because they knew that they were inputting, they were affecting something bigger than them.
Yes. And, you know, Johnny, I asked 2 more questions, what worked, what didn't work, but I'll ask, what are you learning? Because when
Yeah,
something doesn't work, you're learning something, and then what needs to change so that it doesn't happen again,
right.
and you can move forward.
Yeah,
Yes, love it.
yeah, yeah, in fact, I used to learn a lot of things that I never expected when I would do those sessions, I thought I would had it all together, and then I would hear something like, "Wow, I didn't even think of that,"
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
So,
it's a different perspective, and
yeah.
that's where they get the stake in what they're doing.
So, top-down leadership really doesn't work anymore, does it?
Yeah, no, I don't think it does. I
You
mean,
think it
the top needs to create, the vision,
Mhm,
where you're going. I have a leadership model, leader of self, leader as a visionary, leader as a partner, leader as a coach guide, and a leader from the awareness point of view. But the leader does need to set the vision, but they need to hold the organization up.
yeah, the great game of business really kinda demonstrates that. Now that we're talking some history here, but
Yeah.
that whole thing of Jack Stack and how he would report back to everybody on performance and how that increased performance. And I think that's what you're talking about here is that
Yeah.
that setting the vision of, okay, this is where we want to be, how are we going to get there,
And then
rather
what he
than
did was
yeah,
he made little games. I'm sorry, Johnny, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, you're right. He made little games of it, and so everybody was allowed to participate in that, and there was some participation rather than just, "Here's the work, do it. Get it done. Just get it done." Yeah, and, so, yeah, top down I don't even know if organizations are really using much top down anymore, are they?
Well, it's kind of interesting. There are still some organizations that feel like, the leader knows it all and expects, everybody to follow and the micromanage. But they also, part of that is they may rely upon their employees, but they don't know how to hold the container of to be able to allow these employees to participate in of the solution and being able to move forward in their jobs. So
Yeah,
I think that's part of what's going on now.
yeah. So, you think that leads back um, to perfectionism? on the part of leaders that they have to be perfect, and so therefore they have to control everything that happens around them?
Well, there's I think that as you get to be a leader, or a president or a chairman, whatever, the thing about it, you're supposed to know it all, but the reality is we don't know it all, and we need to rely on people. Years ago, I heard Andrea Arndt. She was the CEO of Burberry. She went to be the head of sales and marketing at Apple. She opened up locations in Milan, on Pennsylvania Ave. But one of the things she said, and it just really, really hit me, was she didn't feel enough. And here she had climbed that ladder and she had created things. And she started talking about what she did to lead was she leaned in to the people. Because again, if you lean into the people, they know what to do and you extract what's the best plan. And that's how she was successful. When I heard that for the first time, I just wept. Because you think of this great woman who has done so much, and yet, it's like, I'm not enough.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did a podcast some time ago with a psychologist who's specializes in the imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
and you're kind of sneaking up on the
Yep.
imposter syndrome.
Yes, I am. Yep.
That I don't feel adequate in doing what I'm doing, so therefore I got to fake it.
Yep.
And she shared with me that 70% of the population at one time or another deals with the imposter syndrome, which I was surprised it was that high, and maybe I'm not surprised. I don't know, but
I don't know, I kind of believe it. Plus, with all the things going on with mental health, I mean, it's like the comparisons, social media, we need to be, something that we're not, so we
right.
become, that imposter.
Yes, yes, that's true. Yeah, we do. And I think, well, I've got my ideas on social media. I think social media is becoming a problem in our culture. But and in my opinion, the reason why is because we lock ourselves into sources of information, and we don't get a broad spectrum anymore.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we we pick our information choices, and we stay with it, and so we're getting it creates kind of an intolerance.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's in the workplace or not, but I'm assuming it's transferring to the workplace
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
that intolerance. I can't work with you because you don't like X or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
People
uh,
become very positioned in their
yes.
power
Yeah,
and not seeing the broad spectrum of things and what's really important.
right. So how should someone measure success, in your opinion?
Well, I used to think when I first started, success was measured by the ladders you climbed, your titles, what you had. But that changed because I recognize that success is really about happiness. And if you
Uh,
follow what you're really happy at and really makes you shine, you're going to be successful because that's where you're putting your energy, as opposed to the energy of climbing the ladder or doing something that somebody else wants. But instead, focus in on what makes you happy. That will make you successful.
okay, that's really good advice.
Yeah,
That's excellent advice. I
yeah,
think that I think a lot of times we go through life thinking that we should be something that others think we should be rather than who we are. I find that with my children. I have 2
yeah,
boys, and
yeah, okay.
they're much different than I am, and they're very creative, uh, And when you're a creative, I'm always saying, you guys got to think about alternative income until you hit, you know, and uh, and I come from a business world that's about production basically, and it's so different. But I've got to give them the space to do what they do.
Yep. All you can do is give them, again, the tools
Yeah,
and the guidance and teaching
right,
them about values and purpose and allow them to move forward and allow them to
right,
find themselves.
right. Yeah, and it's working. They're off the payroll, I like to say. So
That's good.
I like it when they're off the payroll.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so your book is talk about your book a little bit. What let's hear more about your book.
Oh, my book. So much to drool about. Lessons for Living Large. So I'll tell you about the evolution of it is that when we went through COVID, I
Yeah,
had quit my job at the end of 2018. And in 2019, I had started my coaching certification, now getting into it, seeing clients. And then all of a sudden in 2020, the pandemic closed everything down and I had
yeah,
to really pivot. I had clients on Zoom and so forth. What was happening was day after day, we were looking at our phones or watching TV and just going down a negative rabbit hole. And I started needing to read something inspirational. And if you sign up for my email list on barbstone.me, you get the 4 tips for getting up and going in the morning. The first one is gratitude. The second one is prayer or meditation. Third one, which is really important, it is reading something inspirational. And then you finally go into taking a look at your planner. It was the inspirational piece that I needed during the pandemic. And so as a coach, I started doing a lot of blogging, posting. So I wrote a lot of things, and there were a lot of gems of stories in
mhm.
the blogs and in the posts. And so what I decided to do, I've had 4 Great Danes. I've only had 2 at a time, because they do live large.
Yeah, they
And
do.
they are so full of love and so full of presence and so full of just being who they need to be. I wanted to be able to teach people about life lessons through their eyes. So we extracted stories from my writings. I hired an illustrator to be able to just a quick little illustration. And then at the bottom of that illustration is a wisdom statement because it's in
Okay.
this wisdom that you can start thinking about what might you learn, what might you be intentional during the day. So each story is just a 1 page. It's meant to just inspire people and moving forward in life. It's about life lessons.
Yeah, okay. Well, good. That's a good one. And I'm sure you can find this on Amazon or
Oh, absolutely.
who isn't on Amazon
Yeah,
anymore?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble. There's a whole bunch of other bookstores
Okay.
that do carry it.
Okay. So it's in distribution. Okay. Well, good. And Barbara, how does somebody find you?
So they can go to my website, barbstone.me, and sign up my newsletter, or you can contact me at buildyourpath.llc.com, all one word, buildyourpath.llc.com, and contact me. And it's because, part of it when I started out, I wanted to be able to have a name of a company that was going to represent what I was doing. And I help individuals and teams build their path.
Okay. Do you work remotely or
I
locally?
I work remotely. I work uh locally. I see clients and customers in their offices. So I do traveling locally and, within an hour distance I'm able to, connect with my clients.
Do you take any clients on a remote basis, like over Zoom or anything
Oh,
like that?
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. When I first started, I had a client in Germany, and then I had a client in California, and that's how I learned Zoom so that I could help different organizations use Zoom
Okay.
during the pandemic.
Good. All right. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your life and your transition from perfectionism to being you. I guess that's the best way to describe it, right? Just to be
Absolutely.
you. We all need to
Be
be
you.
us. Yeah, be
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
not who somebody else wants you to be. Yeah. It's
That's
well,
hard.
it is hard, isn't it? It's
Yes, it is.
definitely hard. So, well, thanks again, and good luck in your endeavors, huh?
Yeah. I will. Oh, it's a journey here. It's a journey here. This continued journey building on drool.
All right. Well, thanks again. You have been listening to Minutes with Mango, Life in Motion. Subscribe to hear a new and unique guest each week as they comment on their life's journey and share experiences with lifestyle, culture, and career. You can always find us at minuteswithmango.com.